Friday, September 18. Good evening, televiewers, and thanks for watching the news in Africa and the world. We open today's edition in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where a July 13 proposal by civil society groups to reform the electoral code was established before parliamentarians on Thursday. According to authors of the bill, the idea consists of checking the lapses observed during the controversial election of 2018. Among the proposal, there is that of removing the threshold of representatives at the level of the National Assembly, measure relating to the filing of candidatures by candidates themselves to prohibit a politician from standing as a candidate in various ballots. They also demanded that the president of the Independent National Electoral Commission must be able to be sanctioned if he refuses to publish the results of each polling stations, and in the event of litigation, the recount of the vote must be compulsory. In Rwanda, a court in Kigali has denied bail to Paul Rusesabagina, whose actions during the 1994 Rwandan genocide inspired the Oscar-nominated film Hotel Rwanda ahead of his trial on numerous charges, including terrorism. Rusesabagina faces 13 charges, including terrorism, forming an armed organization and recruiting into an armed group, complicity in murder, arson, and other crimes. The court ordered his detention at least 30 days pending his trial. He has said he will appeal to seek medical care as he is a cancer survivor and suffers from a heart condition and hypertension. The denial of the bail further alarmed his family, who along with some human rights and legal groups have expressed concern that his arrest is the latest example of Rwandan targeting critics. The 66-year-old gained fame after the 2004 Hollywood film Hotel Rwanda, which portrayed him favorably in relation to the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi ethnic group. Somali President Mohamed Farmajo has appointed Mohamed Hussein Roble as the new Prime Minister early Friday, as after regional leaders agreed on a revised model for presidential and parliamentary elections. According to a statement, Farmajo urged him to urgently form a cabinet that can handle all essential national services. Mohamed Hussein is a relative newcomer to the political limelight in Somalia. He hails from the central region of the country and replaces former Prime Minister Hassan Ali, who was voted out of office by Parliament in July. He is expected to demonstrate adequate loyalty to his boss, something his predecessor was accused of lacking, to the extent of being seen as planning to model the president's legacy. He was appointed moments after Somali federal leaders, including the president, agreed on the revised deal to revert to a clan-based voting system with slight improvements on how those delegates are selected. Out of Africa, Bolivia's interim president Janine Áñez has said she will not run in the country's next month's general election in an attempt to unify votes against the MAS party of former leader Evo Morales. Áñez, a former senator, took office in the power vacuum that followed Morales' departure after allegations of irregularities in an October 2019 election that sparked violent protests and army pressure forced Bolivia's first indigenous president to go into exile in Mexico. The October 18 vote is the delayed rerun of the 2019 ballot. Her candidacy had sparked controversy after she initially ruled herself out and pledged to guide the country to transparent elections. Luis, as socialist candidate of the MAS party, leads in opinion polls, followed by centrist former president Carlos Nessa. Áñez, by pulling out of the race, could increase chances that the election will be pushed to a second round by consolidating the anti-AS vote. To avoid a second round, the election winner requires at least 40% of valid votes in the first round and 10-point advantage over the closest competitor. The European Union has passed a non-binding resolution to impose sanctions on Belarus's leader Alexander Lukashenko over his disputed re-election, violence perpetrated against protesters and the people behind Alexei Navalny's poisoning. The resolution was passed 574 to 37 with 82 abstention. Moscow was, however, quick to respond. During a foreign ministry briefing, they said the EU were using the name of Navalny solely as an open attempt to give the new EU restrictions a deliberate anti-Russian orientation. The EU vote comes a day after European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen said the EU would look at giving itself new powers to impose sanctions in the face of human rights abuses. She made the remarks responding to a question about elections in Belarus, in which Lukashenko was announced as winner with an 80% vote share. Protests have reached the capital city, Minsk, and been violently put down by the police and security forces. Days after the Israeli government announced the country will go into a second nationwide lockdown in order to curb the coronavirus from spreading, hundreds of Israeli protesters in Tel Aviv late Thursday against a second lockdown, a move to tackle a renewed spike in infections. The country is to re-enter into lockdown this Friday afternoon and extend for 3 weeks over the religious holidays. Israel now has one of the highest daily infection rates per capita in the world. There are currently no restrictions and demonstrations during the lockdown. Anti-corruption protesters of the Black Flag movement also gathered at dozens of traffic intersections and bridges around the country. The country had initially been widely praised for curbing the spread of COVID-19 disease by imposing a stringent lockdown in March, but authorities have acknowledged that they were too quick to ease restrictions subsequently. Under the new measures, residents will be limited to within 500 meters with their homes. Exception includes residents going out to buy medicine and food, as well as attending funerals and circumcision ceremonies. That was it for today's edition. Thank you very much for watching, and do stay tuned until we meet. Do take care and stay safe.